Well, hello and welcome. My name is Janet M. Taylor, and I am here because I wanted to provide you with some strategies because I know it's spring. You're probably thinking about your closets and your garages, but I also wanted to give you some strategies on how you can really clear the clutter in your home office. And today I'm not going to be before you long. I actually have 7 tips I want to give you to help you work through all that clutter. So we're talking about clear desk, clear mind, but how to conquer the clutter in your home office. So, number one, always have a retention schedule. And that means how long you're going to keep information. Depending on your industry, your profession, your business, your career, there's certain standards that you have to meet in order to keep the information. So whether you keep it for 7 years according to, the IRS guidelines, or you have your own standard procedures, that is the first thing because that can really help you clear all that clutter out. The next thing is number two is, and I always tell this to clients, and specifically when I'm working with clients, always work with the outer areas first because those are the areas that you haven't touched in a while. It could be the bookcase over there on the other side of the office, the credenza, but those areas, work on those areas and clearing those areas first and getting rid of the things that you don't need will help you because it will give you that momentum that you need to continue with your project. Number three is your desk. Try to clear off your desk. And when I say clear it off, I mean clear it off completely. Because then you'll realize how much real estate you actually have to work with, but also be very strategic about what you put back on. I remember a couple of years ago when I started just doing this for myself, clearing my desk off, cleaning my desk, and then only putting things back that I actually need. Because a lot of times we have a lot of things on our desk that sometimes they're just there and they don't need to be there because we finished a project or that tool or that item is no longer needed. So think about that as well. So that's the third thing. The next thing is you want to clear off the bookcases. Now, depending on, if the bookcase is on the other side of the room or behind you, like mine's, really think about what's on that bookcase. Are there books that you just have not read or don't even want to read? A lot of times we go to conferences, we go to events, they always, give us a little book as a giveaway, which is great. But have you actually read the book? And this is something you are going to read. Now, there are books that I have that I read each and every year. I start my year off reading a certain number of books, and I read them every year. And you may do the same. But then there's books that are just sitting in your space, just collecting dust and taking up valuable real estate. So, of course, always think about donating them and giving them away. Now, in regards to filing cabinets, and I remember a conversation I recently had with a client who I'm helping her set up her home office, is that automatically she's like, I need a 4 drawer filing cabinet. And I'm like, you don't need a 4 drawer filing cabinet. Maybe two. Really think about how much you need. And, you know, I've been in business for over 30 years. I've never had more than a 2 drawer filing cabinet because a lot of my files are digital and I always have backups. But do you need all of those filing? Now, of course, depending on the size of the family, the information you want to keep, and also think about how much information, which is getting back to the first thing that I shared with you. Your retention, how long you need to keep things, and also the filing cabinet was created to hold current information, not become an archive, but to hold current information. So a filing cabinet should have maybe 2, 3 years of information at the most, because you want to have at least your current year and maybe your previous year. And that's it. Anything else you need to decide. And that's why it's good to have those conversations with a legal as well as a financial representative to say, how long do I really need to keep stuff? And then, of course, shredding. Shredding events are wonderful, but also getting a really good shredder. Now, my shredder has to be at least, it's a big one. So it's maybe about, I would say about 3 feet tall. And it's a commercial shredder because I do a lot of shredding. So do you need to invest in a good shredder? But also, there's shredding events. Look for the shredding events. Yes, there are minimums and maximums that you have to bring. Take that into consideration, but also make it and create a schedule in order for you to shred on a regular basis. Someone shared with me that actually that responsibility is given to their child. So when the bin gets to a certain point, then the child of appropriate age goes in and shreds things. So think about that. And of course, making sure, and I'm going to go over all of these things again, just making sure that you actually do these on either a seasonal or quarterly basis. So the first thing is creating that retention schedule again. Do you need to keep information forever? Some of that information we do, but is some information, outdated after a year? And also, I'm going to give you at least a one tip of something you probably can get rid of today is if you have a receipt that the ink has shredded, you could probably get rid of that receipt today because you don't even know what's on there. Also, your outer areas, that corner. Maybe you've just, been to different events, you just shove stuff in the corner. You also have in the corner all of those, equipment that you need to probably recycle or considering repairing. Tackle those areas. And then, of course, again, clearing your desk off completely. I mean, taking everything off of your desk so that you can actually see how much space you really have and only putting things on there that you really need. And of course, again, clearing off the bookcase, getting rid of books you don't need, getting rid of little things you may not need, and also sometimes getting creative. Now, you can see behind me, I've actually got baskets, those nice little baskets behind me, and all of my journals that I decide to keep are in those baskets. So you don't have to see the pile of journals, you can just see the decorative baskets. And then, of course, your filing cabinet. Know that the filing cabinet is really just supposed to have current information. It's not supposed to become an archive, just supposed to have some current information on there. And of course, shredding regularly, whether you do it once a week, once a month. I get into the habit if I come in and all of a sudden there's a couple of pieces of mail I don't want, I shred it. If I'm working throughout my day, at the end of the day, I shred the few pieces of paper I need to shred. And then also just creating a schedule where you do this seasonally. You make sure you purge information, you put information back. Doing those things can really help you really clear the clutter in your home office. But I also wanted to share, a lot of you are in a home office and you have lots of things that may be sentimental or you just, I love to repurpose things. So years ago when I spoke, I was given a beautiful glass mug and I still appreciate it. But guess what? I put my markers and my highlighters in here and I just put it on my desk because I always am grabbing for those. Then, of course, a lot of times you can get a little decorative, as you can kind of see behind me. And these are spice jars. And in my spice jars are my clips, paper clips, and all kind of different clips in all different colors. And of course, I've got 4 of them. So, I have them like separated by the type, and I keep those readily accessible. And then, of course, and this is something that I learned from my wonderful cousin. She shared with me how I could repurpose. This is a toothbrush holder. And actually, I just have these, my scissors, my pens, etc. Now, I do not keep this on my desk. I actually keep a lot of things that are actually behind me on my bookcase. So that's why I said sometimes it's just kind of clearing out the space and looking at things a little bit different. So I just wanted to come to you very quick and brief and just share with you just a few strategies, whether you're on your lunchtime or just taking a quick break throughout your day. And of course, just let me know, do you like these little LinkedIn Lives shorts on just some strategies on how to be more organized? Please let me know. And of course, if you have questions and you've posted questions, I will definitely respond to them. And of course, if you also just want to really better understand, like, Janet, what do you really do for people? You know, make sure you check me out because I can work with you virtually or I can work with you in person. So I do again hope you have enjoyed this little quick little organizing moment. So I hope you continue to have a great day. Be safe, be well, but most of all, I want you to be organized. Have a great